Good afternoon, students, and welcome to contact class for 2018. And I'm going to give you the module Agricultural Education 3. The subject code is AGE42, which is Bachelor of Education Senior Primary. My name is Abraham, and I am your tutor for these modules. And if you have got any problem or you have a questions, please do not hesitate to contact me on this mobile, which is 081-4438-360. Please call me for any problem that you have so that I can be able to assist you to understand your subject better. You can also send me an email address, which is asholongera@unam.na. Once again, welcome to Agricultural Education 3. I wish you all to be hardworking, dedicated, and self-driven students in this course or module. This presentation covers the subject content in brief and some general guidelines that I want everyone to keep in mind when preparing for the 2018 examination. Just to give you some introductions, I will discuss some of the content of your study guide in order to help you prepare for the coming exams. By now, you should have a good idea what the subject is about, as you have completed an assignment. Please note that I cannot give attention to the whole content. So should you have any questions, please contact me for help, as we have limited time here, right here in the studio. So I'm only going to go through some of the aspects of this unity which I think they are more important, but I'm urging you to go and study more on your own into your study guide. The following presentation will also highlight some important aspects and the units of this module. Use the study guide to prepare for your examination. Now, on these modules, I would like us to look at the general issues in agriculture, looking at the possibilities of business opportunities on agriculture, products, and activities. Now, when you look at the possibilities of business opportunities on agriculture products, the first thing to do when one wants to explore business opportunities is to have a business idea. You know, whenever you want to think of a business or whenever you want to start a business in life or in general, the first thing is to have an idea on the table. But in agricultural context, for example, you need to have an idea, for example, in the aspect of crop production, or an idea on livestock production, or an idea on transport, input supply, and also in industry. Now, the second requirement is now also, after you have an idea in place, then the second step or requirements is to have a market. This is to have a target market. Who are your target market? Who are you targeting? Now that you have an idea in place, now is that you know what type of business that you want. Now, who is the target market? So this is now the second requirement or step that one have to take when you are engaging in a business opportunity. Now, it could be a guaranteed market because food will always be needed as long as animals and humans exist, or it could be in form of contract farming. You know, for example, some market can be already guaranteed because food is always be there. It can be, it's always be needed because as long as human being and animal do exist, there will be always a need for food. So here the market or the target market is already guaranteed in a case like this. Now, the other chief requirement that also one needs when you are starting up a business or engaging in or looking at the possibility of business opportunities is a startup capital or seed money. So you need a startup capital or you need a seed money for you to be able to start that business or to implement your idea or to put your ideas to work. But I also want you to be aware that it's not always that you need to have money or to raise money for you to be in business. Because sometimes all what you need is just your ideas, and then you market that ideas. So once you market that ideas, you find that investors would also like to come in and start to invest in your idea. Increasing productivity in order to have surplus also is one way also to create money or to have money to start up or to create as a business opportunity, because once you have higher productions or you have surplus, then the surplus that you have, you can also sell it and make extra income. In that way, you have created a business for yourself. Value additions also offers farmers a real opportunity to increase their incomes. So this is now adding more value to your production, and that can also help you to increase your income and even also to attract more customers or to have a good market. Continuing on the issues on the general issues in agriculture, there are also other opportunities that may be available, and these opportunities, like other business opportunities that one can also look at, that may also be profitable or beneficial to the farmers. And these opportunities are, or that one can take an advantage of in creating business also. They lie in line with capitalizing on health and food safety issues, or you take an advantage of food consumption trends. So the demand of food consumption also, you can also take an advantage of that depending on how people demand food also in the market system. So one can also take an advantage of that and create a business opportunity once you see that there is a demand for food consumptions. So studying and also analyzing the market chain can also create a business opportunity. For one can also go in deep and start to analyze the market chain and enter or get a business opportunity. Then also, very important, I would also like you to look at your study guide and also take a close look on why agriculture is an important work provider in Namibia. Analyzing regional and national statistics. This is now in your study guide. This is a very most important aspect that I might not get enough time to look at it here, but I want you to go in your study guide and look at it. Why do you think agriculture is an important work provider in Namibia? As you know that agriculture is one of the main contributors to our local economies, and yet you find that a lot of people are also being employed into the agricultural field. So go in your notes and find out why agriculture is an important work provider in Namibia, and then also analyzing regional and national statistics. Let us also look at the aspects on plant production. So on this aspect, there are actions plant growers should take in order to minimize residues when these agrochemicals are used during the growing phase and before harvest times. Remember, in the agricultural production, most of the time, chemicals are used in order to control diseases or pests, or sometimes chemicals are also may be used also in order to enhance plant growth. But now, there are actions that plant growers have to take in place or in consideration in order to minimize these residues, as they might also have a negative impact on the plant growth. Now, first, in all cases, as a grower, buy what is recommended by crop protectionists and extension staff. So we have got these agricultural experts or professionals that will guide you or will recommend you what type of chemicals you should buy, or a farmer or a grower can buy. So, and also buy from the reputable suppliers so that you will use genuine chemicals. Suppliers that are reliable, or suppliers that you can trust, and that you will use also the genuine chemicals. Have a first aid kit on hand whenever you are, so that there should be at least some workers with basic first aid trainings, so that whatever happened during the process of applying these chemicals, so whatever injury or an accident happen, so there must be a trained personnel or staff or workers who will be able to handle the situation at hand before taking the person or before the hospitals. Follow the precautions on the container. So on each chemical container, there is an instructions, or the supplier instruction, or the precautions. So make sure that those instructions are well adhered to, or you understand them before you start to use the chemical. Work with chemicals when there is enough lighting, preferably during the day. This is very safe to the growers, because if you apply this chemical during the night when you cannot see or when it's dark, so it might be dangerous or not safe at all to the growers. Or because sometimes you may not even see if you are applying the correct amounts to the plant, or you are giving less or more to the plant. Then use protective gear every time when you use these chemicals. Use protective gear to make sure that your hands, your eyes are protected from these chemicals. Apply correct amount not to affect the plants. Do not under apply, since disease and pests will gain resistance. Because sometimes if you apply less, more than required to the plant, so then that becomes an entertainment to diseases and pests, and they will start to enjoy and become also, they start to feed on the chemical that you have applied, and they also start to become resistant to the chemicals, and that means the chemical will not do anything to them, and they keep on surviving and keep on tormenting and destroy your plants. Do not also over apply. You may scorch or burn the plant. That's why extra care must be taken when applying these chemicals, or so that you know you do not over apply it or under apply it, as you know that once you over apply it, it can burn your plant, and once you under apply it, you will entertain or you feed, or the pests or diseases will become more resistant. Then also one thing, also wash implement used after use and store accordingly. So this is one of the precaution measures that one must, or a grower must take into consideration, that wash your hands after use and store that chemical accordingly. Make no mistakes as a grower. You use the chemicals and then you start to shake hands with somebody, or you start to use food or to handle or touch food before washing your hands. This will lead you to, because remember, it will lead you to death. Observe the performance of the plant also. After applying, you must keep on monitoring to see how is the plant growing. Is the plant improving? Are the plants in good conditions? Is there any improvement on the plant after applying the chemicals, so that you can see whether you can reapply the chemical again, or you can reduce, or if there's any room of improvements in order to improve the growth conditions of the plant. Then also observe workers and apply necessary first aid measures before calling for an ambulance. Looking at the aspect on plant production as we are continuing, as you all know that there are common plant diseases that one will also encounter in a school garden as follows. So these common plant diseases are listed here, but in your study guide also, they are well listed and well explained. For example, we have got the powdery mildew, we have got the black spots. These are all diseases, the damping off, the rust, and also the wilt. So these are all common plant diseases that one can encounter in a school garden. But I also want you to go in your study guide and take a close look and on each plant disease, read and understand the symptoms of that disease, the causative agents of that disease, the prevention and treatments of these diseases. So I urge you, in your study guide, please take a close look on this subject, read and have an understanding of these plant diseases. Now we are done with the plant diseases or with the aspect of plant issues. Now let us now look at aspects of sheep or goats, farming and marketing. As you all know that agriculture is not just about crop, but it's a mixture of crop productions and animal production. Now, let us also look at why sheep and goats need adequate housing. Sheep and goats need adequate housing because shelter against adverse weather conditions, for example, temperature or direct sunlight and wind. So it is to protect them from higher temperature or direct sunlight or wind. It's also protection against diseases and pests from other animals. That's why they need an adequate housing. Protection from predators and also protection from thieves. Housing also allows effective management and maximizing production. Housing also allows efficient management and saves on cost and increased profitability. Animal handling is made easy and can easily be scheduled. Controlled breeding can be effected or can be effective. Controlled and preferential feeding can be also effected when you have an adequate or a well-designed housing or pen. Animal hygiene can easily be effected. Also, in your study guide, I want you to take a close look at why sheep and goats need adequate enough feed apart from adequate housing. And also study the aspect of fish production in your modules. So there's a lot of information about the aspect of fish production in your modules. Look at that unit very well on the aspect of fish productions. And also, as we are continuing with the aspect of sheep and goats, I also want you to understand the reason for keeping different breeds of sheep and goats. As we all know that goats, they graze more than sheep, or we can say that sheep are slow grazers compared to goats. Now, then go to your notes, go into your study guides, and understand, have a clear understanding, or understand the reason of keeping different breeds of sheep and goats on a farm. How is it beneficial? Why sheep and goats also need shelter, and point out also the requirements for shelters in terms of durability and cost effectiveness. Now, the requirements are that sheep and goats shelters should be strong enough to last long time, or the sheep and goat shelters, they should be large enough for the number of animals to be accommodated comfortably, or they should also allow freedom of movement for all animals, or they must be well drained. Sheep and goats do not tolerate muddy conditions, not at all. Therefore, Yards and shelters should be built only on well-drained ground. That means that when you build it, it must be built on an area where the water cannot stand still there. So the water will be able to drain off. Be easy to keep well maintained with dry bedding and easy to clean. Receive morning sunshine evenly. Be well ventilated. There should be adequate air circulation, very low dust levels, comfortable temperatures, and relative air humidity. Have low ammonia gas concentration from waste materials. Remember that ammonia should be at a level that will not harm animals' respiratory system. Have suitable isolation pens for the sick or injured animals, because when the animals are sick, those that are sick or they are infected with diseases, so you must have an extra pens where these sick animals, they can be isolated so that they cannot distract or even transfer diseases from one animal to another's. Or any animal that is injured also must be isolated so that it cannot be distracted by other animals that are not injured. Now, I would like us also to look at now how to prepare for your examination. Ensure that you have all the study materials or resources required for these modules. I urge you, make sure that you have all the study guide or all the resources that you need for this module. In fact, make sure that you have the correct modules. If you know that you do not have a correct module or you want to confirm, please feel free to call me. I'll tell you that that's the correct modules and you have the right information before you start with your examination. I do not want a situation whereby the students comes, maybe it's already examination times, and that's when we realize that the module that you have is not the right one. Please ensure that you spend enough time reading the prescribed materials and to follow the instruction carefully so as to ensure that you do not waste unnecessary time and effort. Please take enough time to go through your modules and study and understand all the instructions that are in your modules very carefully. Take time to first acquaint yourself with the content of the module by reading through the materials carefully. Make sure you understand the verb used very well. I mean the verbs that are used in your questions or even in your study guide. In your study guide, there is also a section where the verbs are well explained. For example, verbs like define or clarify. Or, for example, if in your study guides, the verb define is well explained. How do you answer if you say define soil erosion, for examples? You have to make sure that you give a precise definition of that terms. Go straight to the points. Then clarify. Then there is a verb discuss or describe. Do not skip this topics in your study guides whereby the verbs are well explained. I want you to visit this section and read them and understand so that when you come for your examination, you understand what these verbs are so that you don't get confused. When a question comes that clarify, then you don't understand what do I have to clarify on. Always pay attention to the marks allocated to each question and answer accordingly. So before you answer the question, also look at the mark allocated to that questions, so that when you answer also according to the marks allocated to the questions. For example, if the question is worth 15 marks, you cannot give 2 or 3 sentences only. You have to give more than that question is required to answer. Because if you give only 2 or 3 sentences, will you really get 15 marks for that question? No. But also look at that the marks that are in, because the marks that are also in your, that are indicated next to your questions, that will also help to guide you to answer the question, even to help you to know that these questions worth as much. Never leave any questions unanswered or blank. This is a mistake that a lot of students are always making, because maybe sometimes you think you don't understand the question, or maybe the time is too limited, or we don't know. You just decide, I will not answer this question, I will leave it blank. And now this one, it will not do you any good. If you leave the question blank, that is already an automatic 0 for that questions. Please, I urge you, answer the question according to how you understand the question. With your understanding, read the question and understanding, because it's not necessary that in most cases you need to memorize. So do not memorize what is in your modules. So read and understand, and have a general understanding of the questions, and put something on the question, because if you put something, as a tutor who is going to mark your answers, so I might be able to pick up something that is right, and that will also help you to pass your modules, rather than you have not put anything. So revise your assignments and ask your tutor if you have any problem. So go back to your assignment that you have answered and see where your tutors have made a comments, and see where you have made a mistake or you go wrong, so that you can see how you can improve on that question next time. Remember, sometimes questions that are in the assignments, they might also come into the examinations. So revise your assignments also very well, and have an understanding, and see how you can also answer those questions next time when you meet them in other assignments or in your examination. And as you are going through your modules and your assignments, please, I want you to feel free to contact me as your tutor. Once again, last but not least, I want to say, please enjoy this module, and good luck with the assessments through assignments and examination that is part and parcel of your studies. Remember, I always say, perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did. So, once again, we have come to the end of our presentation of these modules. So if you have got any question or any problem with these modules, as I have said already, that I have only given you some content of these modules, and we are not able to go through everything of these modules. So feel free to contact me, give me a call, because a lot of time I don't even receive calls from students. I don't know whether the students are scared of asking. Please, wherever you don't understand, or you have a problem with this module or any other portion, or you want clarity, feel free to contact me on my mobile number, or send me an email. I will always be available to assist you, so that you can have a good understanding of your modules. So once again, all the best for your examination for the year 2018, and good luck.